Daniel Thomson started his Christchurch-based company Circuband in 2014 to provide fitness training devices to anybody regardless of their personal circumstances. He's at the stage of raising his first external investment while negotiating offshore licensing deals. He spoke with NBR's Fiona Rotherham about his shift from teaching to entrepreneurship.
Now, you've been a soldier, an athlete and a teacher. What made you become an entrepreneur?
Well, I've always wanted to create something of my own and really ensure that I leave a legacy. So that was the biggest thing. Also to solve a problem, which is probably your number one thing, that you go out and want to solve a problem and create something new. I've also done a lot of traveling as well. And I've read a lot of books, especially The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. And that was a real inspiration for me. And it really taught me about the value of selling a product and the ability to then essentially make money as a career, or have a career that makes money wherever you are. And that was always an aspiration of mine too. So it all really just meant that I should take a risk and go out there and work on this problem that I really wanted to solve, which was bringing fitness and activity to anybody, regardless of the circumstance.
Has running a business been different to what you expected?
I didn't really know what to expect. So it's like climbing a mountain and you don't know how high it is. So you're just one step in front of the other. What I have developed over the course of my lifetime is a perseverance. I'm not too sure if it's a chip on the shoulder or if it's just or whatever it is. Maybe it's a willingness, maybe it's a sucker for punishment type thing. But essentially, being able to put one foot in front of the other, regardless of circumstances or challenges along the way, has always been a thing. And I think in the military you learn that as well, because there's no point complaining about something. You just go and do it, and that's been really suited to business. So whether or not it's what I expected, it is what it is, and we just keep going.
How much have you tried to do things yourself rather than bring in external help? Is that your nature to sort of give things a go yourself? And I'm thinking, of your own website, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. That's, I guess when you start out, you look at your strengths because you need to limit costs along the way. Every entrepreneur knows, or they should know, that there's a runway. And if you get to the end of the runway, you're in big trouble. So the idea is to keep that runway as long as possible. And, especially in software that we're doing now, if you're going out there and just getting people to essentially build you or make your idea come to life without you at least trying to build it yourself, you're going to run out of that runway real quick, and you're going to run out of capital. So at every junction, I've always tried to do what I've been able to do to reduce costs and do it myself to a point, obviously. But if it's something that I know, such as, say Swift and coding and that kind of thing, if there's something I really know I need to get help for, then I'll definitely be decisive in pulling the trigger on that. So yeah, absolutely though. Building websites, IP understanding, procurement from China, getting retailers on board, B2B sales, everything under the sun, I have essentially attempted myself, and some of those frameworks that we've put in place, that I've put in place, are still running today. So,
can you tell us about the evolution of your resistance bands and including your latest Bluetooth sensors?
Yeah, sure. So I think the biggest, most important thing for me was to design a product that was unique, because otherwise you're going to find it really hard to compete in a global level. Without the marketing budgets of Nike and all these other big companies out there, it's going to be hard to compete. So you need to have a point of difference, and that's always been something that we've worked on. Initially, it was just a rubber band that could reconnect itself into a loop and a length. A lot of resistance bands, tubes, and they all, tubes, or they're bands, or they're just loops and all sorts of things going on. What we wanted to create was an all-in-one solution. So we started simply as a bit of rubber that could be attached and disconnected to make a length or a loop, and then we added attachments to that. And what that meant was that our resistance band, unlike any other resistance band out there, could be adjusted. You could connect whatever attachment that you wanted to. and it could also be made into a loop or a lens. So that was one of the key features of where we started, and we were able to get quite a lot of traction with that. Being a New Zealand brand, having a network of athletes out there to call upon initially, allowed us to get initial traction over the Christmas of 2014. We sold out of product and we reordered in early 2015. And then in 2016, it became evident that we actually had the ability, given our design, the way it's compartmentalized the way it is, to actually add in other attachments that could take data from the elastic and convert that into results, games, all sorts of things that the consumer might want.
And now you've added the Bluetooth side of it. How hard has it been to get that sort of sensor technology right?
Well, it's a lot more expensive, I can tell you that much. Per unit, if you're doing non-tech stuff, everyone knows that you can be looking at, a couple of cents to a couple of dollars to, whatever it is. When you're looking at technology, microchips, PCBs, sensors, coding, your costs are going to run up into the tens of thousands pretty quickly. And it's not to even mention the IP that you've got to start looking at as well. And then, everything is just...
But you obviously think that there's a market for that it's worth doing.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Now, there's a market with our products without the sensors, absolutely. They're still one of the best portable fitness tools in the world, in my opinion, that you can buy. And that's been self-evident through who's been using it. But without question, one of the key bits of feedback that we got with our adjustable resistance band was, okay, then it adjusts so well. What is it actually doing now? How much load's being resisted? And then it was like, well, no one in the world does this. So why do you expect me to answer that question for you? And then it actually became evident, like I said, in 2016 that, wait, maybe we can be the company that allows this data to be captured and manipulated into a medium, if you like, that the consumer really wants and draws to. And it's been instrumental.
You mentioned some names there about New Zealand athletes using it. I see your customer list includes the likes of the All Blacks and the Australian cricket team. I mean, that's a pretty good client list by any standards. Have you used that sort of in your marketing, or how do you encapsulate that?
Absolutely. It's hugely important now. It's really important when you develop a product that you have backing from certain types of people. Initially, it was, you have to work your way up. It's like scaffolding. Our first sale was to a mate. And then you use that first sale to go to another friend and another friend and another friend. And then you look at you selling to schools and low-level sports teams. And then you slowly climb the ladder. And then eventually you get to a place in New Zealand where, thankfully in New Zealand, it's quite easy to get to the top. So we're able to, contact Nick Gill of the All Blacks. And we had developed a rugby ball by then that attached to our system. And he was able to see that as a way to, build strength whilst regarding the proprioception of the muscle. And before we knew it, that ball was hanging off Eden Park's goalposts before their test matches, and a number of other products as well got used as well. But absolutely fundamental to our success is the sports teams we've been able to attract and network with. And sometimes that involves some pretty creative methods in getting hold of these types. It's not always easy. Working with Gunnar Peterson, who's the Los Angeles Lakers strength and conditioning coach, and also has done the celebrities like the Kardashians, Mike Tyson, Pete Sampras, Jennifer Lopez, all these people. Getting his attention, we had to essentially be in LA for a couple of weeks. We had to attend a private, group fitness weekend, which wasn't that busy on the Sunday. So we turned up on the Sunday and they let us in because we're some strange Kiwis with funny accents. And then, we were able to show him something different. And he said, yeah, get in contact with me. And next week we had a session in the gym with him. And that's led to some of our gear being used by their team frequently. And it's led us to then leverage that name to get even better names in the States as well, which is very, very important when you're talking about, global penetration and scales in the future.
What's been your biggest hurdle to date, Dan?
It's probably being able to have the cash flows and the capital to really execute on the vision that we have. Every step of the way, we've been told that what we're doing is maybe it's either in fitness and there's no money in fitness, or it's not. There's no technology in here, or there's this is wrong with it, or this is not happening with it. And everyone's entitled to their opinions, and I've got pretty used to every kind of opinion. Thankfully, we have the customers to say, well, this is actually a really good piece of kit. But it's probably the cash flow and raising capital, especially from New Zealand and especially from Christchurch. Christchurch is really improving in the way that we're developing entrepreneurs down here. We have Christchurch CNC at the Ministry of Awesome, Callaghan Innovation, NZTE. They're really, they are starting to improve what they're doing to enable entrepreneurs like myself to have more resources. But I would still say that we're not quite where Auckland is in terms of that network, in terms of that kind of community of people where you've got the Ice House, you've got Snowball Effect, you've got all these accelerators and all these K1W ones, all these amazing, venture capital firms who just by, circumstance and through location, you are nearby all the time. So Christchurch has got a wee way to go with that yet, but that's definitely been something that we've been working on is, really building products that become undeniable so that we will get the attention of, some of these guys with the money.
What advice would you give a young entrepreneur starting out?
Well, when I'm because I'm an ex-teacher, as you mentioned before, I'm pretty good with communicating with kids and getting down to the crux of what needs to happen in very simple terms. And essentially, what I tell them is that, okay, I was this. I wasn't an engineer. I didn't have the best grades in school. I wasn't the top athlete. But what I had was a vision to change the world. And what I knew that I took my strengths, I shaped them around what I kind of wanted to do. And I was able to essentially spend a great deal of time on solving one particular problem. I was going to collaborate with a whole bunch of people I knew could maybe bring on the skill sets that I didn't have. And maybe through sheer perseverance, I was able to, build something pretty cool that could change the world one day for the better.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Daniel Thomson.
No, thank you so much.